What we're going to do for this warm-up is a movement drill around our opponent's body. The goal here is to learn how to maintain control and not allow them to move in the direction we don't want them to move. So we're going to start here in side control. I'm going to have an underhook under his head to get some cross face and be able to base out with my hand while I keep his hips in place with my elbow. Right from here, I'm going to switch my grips because I want to move towards north-south position. So I'm going to wrap my arm under his head with my hand inside my knee. That's where I want to go. Palm towards my leg, inside my knee, and I'm pulling pressure on his head. From here, now I can move this hand and replace my knee on his hip on this side on the mat. Now I can keep my pressure down with my chest on his chest as I move my feet out towards this north-south position. Here we've got attacks, but for the drill, all we're going to do is try to maintain control. So I don't want him to be able to move his hips that direction away from me. So I put my other hand on the mat on his hips, and I can move to this side. Now I can replace my other arm under his head the same way and have this north-south choke position again. I'm going to then turn around the corner, replace this hand with this knee. Now he can't move that direction, and now I'm going to replace the other elbow on the other side of his body here. Right? From here I can come off and grab the head. Now I'm going to remove his arm out of my way, and I'm going to move towards the mount. So I'm going to drive his elbow up past 90 degrees, and then bring my shin across his hip line. As I come across his hip line, I'll put pressure down on his hips, and now I can move my arm across as I flop my foot over to the mount. I'm going to dismount, loop my foot up towards my butt and across his hips, shin against his hip line again. Now I can dismount and come back to the same side control position. We're going to go then back around the same exact way. So arm under the head, lock the hips. Come around with chest-to-chest pressure. Lock the hip on this side. Now my arm can clear this, and he can only go that direction, right? So now I can come back in, replace my hand with my knee, collect his hips on this side, come to side control. Knee comes across his hip line, elbow up, and I can flop over. Dismount, and that'll be the drill.
I think do it one more time, a couple more times with his head facing this way, no talking.
Okay.
Emphasis on no talk.
No more talking.
Just keep going. I'll cut this part out.
Okay. So here, we come.
Alright, we're gonna get to the mount. So the easiest one you can do that's kind of from a neutral cross sides, finger in the armpit, arm under the arm. You're just gonna take your knee across the hips. So big mistakes people make is they make a lot of space here. So just think about driving your knee through, and then once it touches the ground, you're gonna lift their arm and you're gonna push their leg down with your leg. So we're here. Pushing. So you're trying to create as much distance between his elbow and knee as you can as you take the mount. And then the other one we can do is going to be from rear base. So in rear base, big mistake is people leave this arm under the head and go rear base, and there's no weight on them. So make sure that you switch your arm to be under the tricep here, or I like to just go elbow to the armpit, and then I'm isolating their arms away from their legs, and then we're going to take a step over, and sometimes he'll put his leg in the air to block us, and we can just swat it out of the way here, and we're going to hook with this leg that comes over. We're going to hook and pull ourselves up in a corkscrewing motion. And then the other one we can do to take mount is from half guard. We're just going to try to get our knee across here so that he has quarter guard, so he just has our foot. We're going to hook under the arm, and then we're going to try to peel his knee with our foot, and once we clear it, touch your feet under the butt. So keeping the mount, we want to touch our feet together under the butt, and I like to try to lift my knees off of the mat like a frog, like knees spread. That makes sure that all my weight is on him, not on the ground. And then my hands can be out for outriggers to make sure I don't get rolled off. And then I'll try to come back here, and I'll try to work my shoulders into his hands and face to break apart his defense. So I'm just pummeling my shoulders and grinding my shoulders onto him to try to open him up. So that's the low mount position here. And sometimes if the guy's really like trying to get my leg and elbow escaping, I'll step on the hip here and push his leg down. But I don't try to hang out there. Anyways, so then the guy's pushing on your hips. We want to swim in. So a lot of people like this pushing on the hips and bridge up escape where they bring the knees through. So we can prevent that. Like anytime they drop their hands, we are pummeling in and trying to break them apart here. So the big thing in the mount is you're trying to separate their arms from their head and isolate their arms. So we do that with our upper body and pummeling in. And then going to the high mount here, we're going to be attacking the arms, and then we can transition to S mount. Oh. Alright, so we can break apart his defense with our shoulders, and then we're going to be attacking the cross collar choke. So fingers in the gi and as far around as you can grab. I like to think that my finger needs to be by the tag of his gi, so all the way around. And then we can use this hand to lift him up and then punch it to the ground to make sure it's deep here. So once we get that first hand deep, we need to get this other grip. But if you guys know, like trap and roll, like I just trap my own arm here. So right after I get this grip, what I need to do is bring this hand across here to stop him from rolling me that way. And then I'll put my head on the ground, and my elbow is going to slide back and touch his ear, and then it's going to slide, and then I'm going to grab whatever I can and I'll come back to the center, squeezing for the finish. So other side, we're here, whatever, getting this grip. It can be a big fight, but once we get it, we're going to lift him up and punch it to the ground. So we're lifting him with our whole body here, and then on the way down, we're just trying to beat him to the ground by sliding that down as he falls. This hand gets heavy on his chest, and my whole arm is heavy on his chest. Right? Get over to the side here. Head on the ground, elbow touches his ear, slide this in tight, and grab whatever. Usually the jacket bunches up right there, and you can grab that, or you can put your thumb in and finish. Cross collar choke. Post. Alright, so we're going to attack the armbar here. So maybe we're attacking the choke, he grabs some stuff. I'm going to put my chest behind his elbow here. Turn him on his side, and then I'm going to go to the armbar. Here. Don't go to S-mount.
S-mount's another week.
So, chest behind the arm. Here. We can take a Kimura grip like this. That's a great grip. We can come in here. We can finish forwards or leg over the head. If you put your butt on the ground, you need to pause here and lift their arm up. Pinch your knees and then go back. Big mistake is people throw this leg over and they fall back right away and their opponent follows them up. you need to create a pause there. Here, pause, lean forward, pull the arm up, and go for the finish. Vamos.
Head and arm choke from the mount. First thing you're going to want to do, be heavier than your opponent. Accumulate some mass. That's before pre-game that. So as we come into the mount, we're trying to take the arm up, right? We did a lot of these mount takes where we're driving this elbow up. If we haven't got it all the way over the head, as we come into this position, we can use our fingers to walk up, and we want to drive at the point of his elbow to get his arm above his head. I also come in under the head with this side, and now as I get over, I'm going to not just get lazy here, I'm going to actually drive my arm all the way across. Use my chin to block and bite down, and I'm going to take a bunch of bites at this until I get my head past his elbow, and now I can block with my hand, and I can bring my head all the way down. What you'll see here is that his chin is still under my shoulder, so I don't have a choke here, so I got to sink my body down and clear the chin out of the way. If the chin's still in, I'm going to sink down again until I get the chin out of the way. I'm blocking his arm with my head. Now if I don't have tight on that other side, I can come here and I can rebite and get really tight here. From here I can just sink down and just put pressure straight down into him to get this tap, right? If I don't get the tap there and I want to get this tighter, I can start to dismount. So I'm going to circle my leg out just like we circled out to get into mount. I'm going to circle back, shin across the waist, and now I can sink down. From here, I can get it. Sorry, he's gonna die. It's gonna be all right. So we're gonna get some different grips here, and there's lots of different options for grips on this choke to finish it. Ultimately, we want the head to come off.
We're gonna attack the Americana key lock from mount. So, using our shoulders to break their arms apart, and then we're gonna bring our cross hand to their wrist, but we're not thinking about pushing with our hand, we're thinking about pushing with our arm, and we're going to drive it to the ground. And another thing that's going to help you here is to have your arm already under their arm. So big mistake here is people get this to the ground and then she just drives her elbow into the ground and I can't get my arm under and I look like an idiot. So arm under their arm here, and then hook the opposite leg. Can you guys see that? Hooking of the leg. And then we're going to bring our hand the rest of the way through and then drag that back. Flex your wrists when you do this. That's going to help put a lot of torque on to their arm and make everything tighter. If your wrists are bent the weak way, it can go a lot further. But bend your wrists, elbow on the ear, and then just drag it back. And if I wasn't talking, my head would be on all the hands. So I just think, there's all these hands in front of me. I'm just gonna put my head on them. Boom. Folks.